Hey guys, how are you? This is Brother Ray. I want to share with you something that I learned that I thought was pretty interesting. Aside from, the spiritual talk and the religious thing, at the end of the day, I'm a human being. As a human being, I have flaws and I have all the, you know, the side effects that comes with human nature. I'm not immune to those things and I'm not more pure than than the average person, right? I make mistakes. I have error. Some of those mistakes are done by accident, and some of them are done willfully. I have my vices. I have my vices. I have my bad habits. I have my problems. Um, I have things that basically any honest person can admit to having. So I want to say, I have some bad habits. I have some they're not, I mean, either they're addictions or they're almost addictions, right? I have bad habits and I've learned how to curb those bad habits. Here's what I came across. All right. Say you have some bad habits. Say that you eat a lot of sugar, or you eat a lot of carbs, or you don't go to the gym, or you do things that are way worse than what I'm saying. It's very difficult for a person to go cold turkey. It's also difficult for a person to say it, for a person to say, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do less of this. It's very hard to do less of that thing. It's very easy to give someone that advice. Hey, if you smoke cigarettes, just smoke less until you smoke none of it. If you drink alcohol, just have less drinks. It's very easy to give somebody that advice, but to actually practice that advice is difficult because your body already, your body and your mind and your spirit already, not your spirit but your body and your mind already associate that behavior as a reward thing. So when you do it, you feel rewarded, you get instant gratification. You're not going to have any kind of motivation to do less of it. On the contrary, you're going to have motivation to do more of it. So what's going to happen is you're going to do that behavior thinking that you're going to decrease that behavior, when in fact you're just going to keep doing what you were doing before, or continue to do more of it, right? And when people go cold turkey, they usually they relapse, and they get even worse, right? Spiritually speaking, when you deny those demons, uh I'm not saying it's always demons, but there's a possibility that it could be demons. um let's just say that it is. When you deny those demons, that thing that they require from you, like the Bible said, they just come back with more legions, and you relapse, and it becomes even more difficult to get rid of those things. So here's the solution. The best thing to do, number one, is just surrender to Christ. Just focus on Christ. Like when Peter was walking on water, the second that he lost focus on Christ, he started drowning, and then Christ felt compassionate and understood him and saved him. And Christ loved them anyway. So, anyway, best thing to do is just to focus on Christ, and sinning is actually the result of not focusing on Christ. When those thoughts of sin come to your mind, you just got to focus on Christ and think about Christ. And that, and you'll see that, and that's the only way to really defeat it, is through Christ. Without Christ, you can't really, that's the best thing to do. And this is for myself anyway. This is an advice for myself also. Secondly, just without, without the spiritual things aside, leaving the spiritual stuff aside or not, or adding to it. I found that just basically telling yourself, you know what, not today. You know what, I'll do it later. Actually, procrastinating on your addiction actually helps to curb the addiction. When the thought comes in and the desire comes in and or the itch comes in for you to actually do that activity, you just say, you procrastinate on it, just like you would procrastinate on things that are good for you, like going to the gym. You turn that on, on your bad habits. You basically use that same procrastination back on your addictions. Like, for example, sometimes I want to drink coffee, right? And I used to drink a lot of coffee with sugar and milk. I'll just say, you know what, I'll do it later. And I'll actually believe it, like, you know what, I'll do it later. And then when later comes, I'll just say, yeah, you know what, I'll do it later. I basically train my mind to be too lazy to actually do that thing that I'm addicted to. Or I'll trick my mind into, I'll promise my mind instant gratification later, and my mind, it will be stuck on that instant gratification that will come later, and it will actually be willing to not receive that instant gratification now so that it receives later. So actually, the whole law of instant gratification betrays itself using that tactic. I'll promise myself instant gratification later. I'll make myself too lazy to go sit on the couch to watch the TV and eat pizza. And I'll say, you know what? I'll do it later. So actually, if you want to apply the whole, you do less of that thing, that's probably a good way to do it, is by promising yourself, like, for example, cheat day. However, the problem with cheat day is that your body will gorge on that addiction, and then, for every loss that you get in, it takes double the win to make up for that loss. So when you gorge on that addiction on your cheat day, it's going to be very hard for you to not have another cheat day the day after, or have two cheat days after that. So really, don't use this tactic to create a cheat day for yourself or to do less of that thing. It's more like how to go cold turkey, but not without the pain, right? Going cold turkey is just saying, no, I'm not going to do it. As opposed to you just, you know, playing yourself. Just be like, you know what? Basically going cold turkey without the seriousness. Just procrastinate on procrastination. Use procrastination towards your addictions. You just say, you know what, I'll do it later. And then when later comes, you do it later. You do it later. I found that it works for me. And I just want to share with you something that works for me. And that actually helps me when I'm focusing on Christ, and I do that, it actually gets the job done. By focusing on Christ, yeah, I'm not even opening myself up to committing those sins. Number one. Number two, I make myself busy doing something productive, right? So focusing on Christ actually leads to all those things. Focusing on Christ will lead me to be productive. Focusing on Christ will make me focused on what I need to get done, which basically there's no room for that unproductive addiction. And instead, I'm focusing what needs to get done and what I need to do, and focusing on Christ. And then there's focusing on Christ, as his words, his teachings, whatever, his power. There's that. And then there's, by focusing on Christ, Christ will, people think that Christianity is just spiritual. No, it's practical, is the best thing for like your practical life. So by focusing on Christ, Christ will actually help you with the practical sides of your life. He'll help you get focused on the things that you need to do, and you'll focus on the things that you need to do, which will lead to you renouncing your bad habits. And actually, he'll help you replace those bad habits with the opposite of those bad habits, which are good habits, which you make that more common and more frequent, which will basically replace the frequency of those bad habits. And then God will give you, Christ will give you great ideas like the one I'm sharing with you. So focusing on Christ is paramount. Number two is being productive on the things that you actually need to do, which means you got to know what you're supposed to do, write it down, and follow it, right? Not following those things will actually lead you to your bad habits or to your commitment to your bad habits. But by focusing on Christ, you actually are committing to what you're supposed to do. But even if you didn't focus on Christ, it helps you to focus on, if you focus on what you need to do, you do less of the bad habits. But I recommend that you focus on Christ, so that by focusing on Christ, he'll be able to lead you and guide you to doing the things that you're supposed to do, which will overcome your bad habits. And number three, by using procrastination, using the very weapon, like your addictions, use these weapons against the things that you're supposed to do. So you use these, what you do a little jujitsu with your addictions. The things, the energy that your addictions use on you, so that you can not focus on what you're supposed to do. You use those same things back at the addiction. You tell the addiction, I'll do it later. Instead of saying, you know what, I'll go to the gym later, and doing this every single day and not going to the gym, you can say, you know what, I will not go to the gym later. And then when later comes, you say, you know what, I'm not gonna go to the gym later. And you just keep doing that until next thing you know, you don't even notice it. You're like, oh my God, I just went a whole month without coffee. And as you deprive yourself of your addiction will have less power over you, and you will have less and less addiction. Now here's the thing with Christ, right? If your addiction is demon driven, if your addiction is like like if the source of that addiction is predominantly, you know, satanic, you need to focus on Christ. Only Christ will help you overcome that. But there's things that we do that are basically biological, chemical things, and demonic influence may or may not play a role in it. And if it does, it's probably percentage wise, a certain percentage of it. I could be wrong. It could be 100%. Um, all I'm saying is doing those practical advices, using procrastination back on your addictions, right? Will actually, oh, it went dark. It'll actually help you overcome those addictions. But following Christ is paramount. And if you want to get this job done without focusing on Christ, I don't recommend it. But if I can add a little practical value, it would be use procrastination back on your addictions, um, and be productive, right? But focusing on Christ will actually lead to those two things. And focusing on Christ can get the job done better than you using your own merits, and I mean using your own willpower and stuff. Most people don't even have willpower, but through Christ you can have willpower. And if you want to, it'll get the job done faster. But if you insist on doing it on your own, using procrastination on your addictions will definitely help you, because you're not depriving yourself from it. You're not telling your mind, okay, we're done, which will make your mind rebel back at you. And not going cold turkey directly, you're going cold turkey indirectly by giving mixed signals, like a girl. A girl tells a guy, you know what, don't call me, I don't want nothing to do with you. It's not the same as, oh yeah, we'll hang out tomorrow. You know what, we'll hang out next week. Oh, you know what, something came up. Keeps the guy hanging. So leave your addictions hanging. Don't tell your addictions, no, we're done. If you're not capable of doing that. And if you are, do it. But if you're not capable of doing that, if you suck at doing that, then just tell your addiction, you know what, I'll do it later. Porn, you know what, I'll watch porn later. And then when later comes, yeah, you know what, I'll do it later. You just keep doing that, right? You're not denying it. you're giving mixed signals, and you still, next thing you know, you just lose interest in watching porn because you want a whole month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months without watching porn. But by focusing on Christ, you can get it all done. And and we'll just keep going in circles in this video. So you get my point, right? All right, man. See ya.